Now, your primary means of controlling your airplane is based on seeing things outside, using visual references. Although you have learned, for emergency purposes, to control your airplane using only your flight instruments. And of course, the emergency would be when you accidentally lose those visual references for whatever reason, maybe clouds, low visibility, or complete darkness, such as over a desert or ocean with no moonlight. Not only is it tough to see, but it's a very unromantic time to fly also. The maneuvers you've learned under instruments so far are straight and level, turns while level, and climbs and descents while straight. Those are the usual maneuvers. Now let's look at the situation where you suddenly lose your visual references. Probably you've flown into a cloud. Instinct is telling you that you would like to get back to where you can see things outside the airplane again. And that's a good idea if you do it the right way. But when the world goes from seeing something to seeing nothing, that instinct has you trying very hard to see something again right now. And you will probably instinctively start a turn. And all the while you're in this turn, you're straining to see something outside the window. Do you see where I'm going with this? Now, if you have no outside references, you do not know which way is up when you're only looking out that window. You may have started a turn opposite of what you think or not started one at all. Or you could have even held the control wheel over to one side long enough to be practically upside down and you wouldn't even know it. So let's talk about what you do about this maneuver, the unusual attitude that you have gotten yourself into. And later, we'll go over the steps you should use to keep from getting into that unusual attitude in the first place. I bet as I'm talking, you're itching to look at your instruments. Well, I would get some ointment for that. No, seriously, you really do know how to use your instruments and have confidence that you can control your airplane with them. But wait, all of your practice started from straight and level with your instructor sitting next to you and you were only doing usual maneuvers. So this is different. And when you do look at your instruments in an unusual attitude, what is important to learn from them? Well, first, what's the nose position? Is it up, down, or level? And then how are the wings? Do you have the left wing down, the right wing down, or are they level? And you can confirm that with your turn coordinator. Chances are that your unusual attitude, actually your airplane's, I think you probably have a pretty good attitude, that is your airplane's unusual attitude, is probably a combination of having the nose and the wings other than level. You're most likely to be in an excessively nose-high or an excessive bank nose-low condition, a steep spiral. So you need to quickly scan and interpret your instruments to see what you have so you can get back to straight and level. Well, if you find yourself in a Thurston Howell III, or more commonly referred to as a nose-high attitude, in addition to the nose-high indication on your attitude indicator, see it above the horizon here, you'll also see your airspeed decreasing and your altitude increasing. Do be sure to check your attitude indicator's picture against your airspeed indicator and your altimeter. This is because in some extreme attitudes, the gyro in this attitude indicator could actually tumble and not be reliable. Now, to recover from a nose-high attitude, you want to increase your power if you're not already at full throttle and simultaneously lower the nose. You want to lower the angle of attack quickly to avoid a stall. Lowering the nose will also put your airplane on the road to straight and level flight. If your attitude indicator shows you are in a bank, use your coordinated aileron and rudder to level those wings. After you return to straight and level flight, you can decrease your power to maintain your smooth cruise airspeed. If instead you are in a nose-low attitude, or what I call a droopy dog, The instruments will indicate the reverse of the nose high. In addition to the nose low picture on your attitude indicator below the horizon, your airspeed will be increasing and your altitude will be decreasing. To recover, first, decrease your power. This will help you slow down your altitude loss and your airspeed increase. You sure don't want to lose any altitude any faster than you have to or overstress the airplane with too high an airspeed. Next, if your attitude indicator shows you're in a bank, use coordinated aileron and rudder to level the wings. You want to level the wings before raising the nose because you get the benefit of pointing all the lift up and reducing the load factor imposed during that pitch up. Then, finally, raise the nose to a level flight attitude. Once you're back at straight and level, you can increase the power to maintain your cruise airspeed. Now, here's what you should do if you suddenly lose your visual references instead of getting on that unusual attitude roller coaster ride. That's not fun. The first step is to immediately start using your instruments, even if you think you may be able to see the ground a little bit. And don't panic. This is exactly why you practice flying under the hood. Think of it as a challenge and concentrate. Forget about any seat of the pants feeling. It will lie to you. Now make sure that you are flying straight and level first. The second step is to figure out what heading to turn to reverse course. You want the reciprocal of the heading that you're on now, and that means a heading that's 180 degrees opposite. And the easiest way to do that is to look at the bottom of your heading indicator and note the heading under the line there. If you have a heading bug, move that. If you don't, write it down. This means that you will have to read it upside down, but many pilots think that's easier than adding or subtracting 180 degrees. Next, start a level, standard rate turn in your favorite direction to that reciprocal heading. Be sure to scan and cross-check your primary instruments so that you don't get yourself into an unusual attitude. Once you're steady going back the way you came, you should reemerge from the cloud back to where you can again fly visually. If you do not come out of the clouds fairly quickly, call ATC for help on the emergency frequency of 121.5 and follow their instructions. The most important thing to remember is don't rely on that seat of the pants feel because you can't trust your senses when you can't see the horizon or your visual references. So, now you know, when pilots are talking about unusual attitudes, they're not talking about personality quirks.